Hey everyone, it's Luna, and today I really wanted to make an important video about karma. The reason for this is because there are a lot of misconceptions about karma, and some can be not only very hurtful and judgmental, but also just plain incorrect. And a lot of people have these misconceptions about karma because of very simplistic beliefs that were just glossed over when people study different things, especially in Eastern religions. So I just wanted to clarify what karma really is and how it works not only when it comes to reincarnation, but in just our day-to-day life. So most people look at karma as the actions that you do, good or bad, affect the outcomes of your life or possibly your future incarnations. Now, one big problem with people's general misinterpretation of karma is when people say, oh, well, you see, that homeless person over there, they must have been really bad in their past life. They must have had a lot of bad karma because, obviously they don't have a lot of money and they're down on their luck. And if they had done good things in their past life, then they would have, have a house and have things they need. That's disgusting. And not accurate at all. And I will explain why that is. Other people also do this thing where if they believe in karma, they say, oh, that person that's dealing with a lot of health problems right now, they obviously had a lot of bad karma in their past life that they're making up for. Or if someone, this is really bad, but was in an abusive relationship, they'll say the same thing. All of this is incorrect. So incorrect, and such an overly simplistic view of karma. And I will explain all of that. So first of all, it's important that we look at karma and how it affects our everyday life first before we look at how it affects our incarnations. So if you really think about it, karma is just the idea that what you put out comes back to you. So if you put out, just like the law of attraction actually, if you put out good words, good deeds, good actions toward people, you're going to receive that in return most likely. If you put out negative words and deeds and actions toward people, do you really think that, for example, if you call somebody stupid, that they're going to say, well, you're smart? You think that if you call somebody ugly, then they're going to say, well, you're pretty? Negative actions just attract more negative actions. So in our everyday lives, that's a very easy thing to understand, is if I go around being a jerk to people, people are just going to be a jerk back to me because it's a defense mechanism. Whereas if I go and I'm kind to people, I'm going to make friends a lot more easily. And yeah, there may be some jerks out there that don't want to be nice back to me, but they're working on their own karma. For the most part, treating people well makes them want to treat you well too. For example, if you go and help somebody who needs something done with their lawn, for example, like there's these people going through a hard time in their life, like maybe someone in their family has passed away. I've had this happen. It's horrible. Sometimes your yard work just does not get done. Things just get away from you. Chores around the house because there's so much to get done after someone passes away and you're dealing with the grief. So let's say that I know someone who's going through that, and I see that they're like, oh, yeah, I haven't had the time to get the lawn mowed or whatever. Well, if I was to help them mow the lawn, then not only do I feel good because I'm helping someone and it makes their life so much better, but what can happen from that, and you should do good deeds without expecting anything in return, obviously. But what can happen is if I help people like that constantly, and I just am in the habit of trying to help other people, it's very, very likely that they will help me too if I need something. So by doing good deeds for other people and being kind and being empathetic toward people, they very likely will do that for you too, and you're building a community. The more people you have in your circle that you can love and trust and have there for you when you're in need, the more that you have this solid community. Whereas if you're just a bitter person who only cares about yourself and is very self-absorbed and rude to people, you are not going to have basically anybody in your life. No one's going to want to be your friend. You're going to lose people in your life very easily. And you probably won't be very close with even your own family. So that's how karma affects us in our everyday life. It is real in that way, for sure, and it's very easy to see that. But when it comes to our past lives and future incarnations, it works in a way that needs a little more explaining. So, doing good deeds in your past life does not mean that you're going to be rich in your next life, first of all. That's a very common misconception. There are a myriad of reasons why karma and money are not directly related. Karma is something that has to do with essentially deeds and words and actions, which all have to do with a positive vibration, whereas money is a physical thing, and it's the physical world. And depending on where you live in the world will even determine if you are rich or poor. So it's really not a good indicator if someone is rich or poor if they had good karma or bad karma. That's honestly so ridiculous to me, because you would assume that if you had good karma in your past life that you would be generally happy and feel generally fulfilled. You'd still have ups and downs and have bad days and whatever, but you'd be a generally happy person if you had good karma. That's the basic idea. And people who have a lot of money are pretty unhappy a lot of the time, you'll find, or they're constantly stressed. Not all of them, of course, but the phrase "more money, more problems" definitely has truth to it. There are millionaires and billionaires that are absolutely miserable because they figure out that getting all this money doesn't necessarily bring happiness. It can if you have the right mindset, but not always. Money does not mean good karma, and it doesn't necessarily mean happiness. So this also applies to things like other hardships, such as health problems. So if someone's having health problems, if they're having disease, if they're having mental illness, if they have an injury, that does not mean that they had bad karma in their past life. We're here in this life to experience all the good and all the bad in every way we can through all our incarnations. And being in the physical world, we have these squishy, these squishy, mortal bodies that, well, our souls are immortal, but our bodies are not. Our bodies are pretty fragile, and a lot can happen to us. And one thing that everyone has for sure in this life is expecting to die. So you can't just say that because someone experiences a problem with their very fallible physical body. Don't get me wrong, our bodies are wonderful, and I love all the pleasures and good things we can experience from our bodies too. Life is yin and yang. It's the good and the bad, and everything in between. But you can't just say that because someone has a problem with their body that they did something wrong morally. That's just incorrect and quite ignorant. So, first of all, it's impossible to know all the ways in which past good or bad karma is affecting you in your current life. So one way that we can look at this is, let's say that there's somebody who experienced a lot of trauma in their childhood. This is something that a lot of people are exploring, especially now in mental health. A lot of people my age, millennials who were raised by the boomer generation, for some reason, it's very common with us to be doing our shadow work, doing therapy, and looking into all the ways in which our childhood affected us for many different reasons. But let's say there's somebody who experienced a lot of trauma in their childhood. Because of that, they have a lot of memories that are missing from their childhood, but they know that the trauma happened. And they have proof that it happened. So the trauma was real, but their memories are foggy. It's good for that person to go through therapy and figure out how those past traumas are affecting them. But it's impossible to know how every thing in their life is affected by every little thing that may have happened in the things that they don't remember. So the reason I'm giving this as an example is because in our past lives, we don't remember our past lives. So it's pretty much impossible to know exactly how things in our past lives are affecting us now. So it's important to understand that. You can do things like past life regression. You can try to access the Akashic record through trance-like states and meditation and things like that. There's a number of things you can do to try and remember aspects of your past lives and integrate what you find out about your karma and other experiences you had in those past lives to help you in this life. But there's no way to know for sure, and there's no way to know everything that happened in your past lives and how it's affecting every part of your life now. So it's important to understand that. So what I find with all of that in mind is the best way to tell if someone's had mostly good karma in their past life is if they're a good person in this life. And I know that not all people are, no person is just good or just bad. Obviously, there's no black and white. It's all gray. People are just gray. But that, karma was never said to be something that was just black and white either. Karma is gray. Karma has to do with a balance and a weighing of good and bad. So if someone has more good than bad, or if someone has more bad than good in their deeds and their actions and their words toward people. So yes, if someone is a good person in this life, generally it's a good indicator that they have learned how to do that through multiple lifetimes, and they likely were a good person in their past life. And if someone is a jerk in this life and horrible, could be a number of things. Obviously, it could be very much having to do with their childhood as well, their upbringing, things that influence them. It's always good to take those into account as well. But bad karma in someone's past life would be indicated by someone being generally a bad person in this life too. We're talking someone who does horrible things. So we're better able to connect also with our soul families. Remember that aspect of community? There's something called soul families that a lot of people believe in, who believe in reincarnation, where you find people from your past life or past lives multiple times, and they keep showing up in your next incarnations with you, and you come across each other and can help one another. It's much easier to connect with your soul family when you have good karma, because kindness and empathy unify souls, whereas bad karma just perpetuates the illusion of division between us, because we're really all one. So bad karma makes us just feel separate, and we can't connect with other people as easily, and therefore we can't connect with our soul families. Our soul families are there to help one another. So I help the people in my soul family, and they help me. And this is something that is not so conscious, it's more unconscious until you can become more aware of things spiritually, and then you make that connection. You're able to bring the unconscious to the conscious. But I believe soul families are a real thing, and that would be kind of the aspect of reincarnation that's a lot like what happens in our real life right now, where the kinder you are to people and the more empathetic you are and the more helpful you are, the more you're likely to get that back from people and create a community. And I feel like it's the same with soul families. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that I wasn't all over the place with that, but I think it's important for people to understand this about karma, because of course the actions that you have in this life affect you in this life, and the actions that you have in your past lives affect you in your future lives. I really do think that makes sense. And it's important not to judge people or try to guess what someone may have done in a past life, because that's ridiculous. It's the past. And since we can't remember it, there's no reason to try and judge people off of that. There's a reason we don't remember our past lives, because we're supposed to learn from the present. So, if you have any questions or want me to talk about this more in other videos, this is something that's become important to me, because when I first left religion, I didn't know what to believe about karma anymore, but I still believed in things like the law of attraction, and I knew that things in our current life are affected by our words and our actions and our deeds. And so it just makes sense to me now, as I've had more time to think about it, that this applies to the cycle of reincarnation as well. So be sure and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure and subscribe to this channel if you like this video and want to see more videos on spirituality from my channel. Be sure and hit the bell so you don't miss any videos. Sometimes it does not give you notifications unless you push the bell. And yeah, be sure and like this video. And if you got this far, be sure and leave the secret word of the day, which is bell. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.